going to talk about military stigmas. Because I remember that one group I sat in, like, dude was really stuck on his own idea of alpha male, that it was hard for him to see, like,
what it means, like, in a real term.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's more like that's more leadership alpha male, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so in the Marine Corps, the reason why leaders are so strong and like why they push the alpha male is because they have to brainwash you.
Yeah.
Like, you're coming from being 18 to 20 years old, joining the service, and with how much life experience, and you're supposed to go overseas and like go into war and do all this stuff, but like you join and they have to break everything you've known about life out of you, and then they have to turn you into a warrior. And they have 3 months plus extra time if you're in infantry to basically condition you out of that. And when they do it, I said a statement to somebody that was normal. I was like, kill them all.
Yeah.
And they were like, wait, what? I realized in that moment that like something along the way had made me like okay with that. I'm starting to believe that it's okay to kill.
Yeah.
Right? Like that it's like my job.
The normal person being who?
Like somebody back home that knew me like since childhood,
mm-hmm.
and they're like, you're not that person.
Do you think they were kind of like dehumanizing you? Kind of just making you like a robot?
No, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't, like when you actually go over there, there's like this thing that turns on and it's your adrenaline levels. And like you just do it just from being there because you understand the gravity of the situation. And then there's nothing that tells you how to turn it off. And it turns you into a robot for fight or flight. Right? Like
yeah.
I'm going to follow this training in order to stay alive.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's why I really like the Marine Corps out of all the other branches, is because they really do it. For better or worse, the term brainwashing is true for that. Like they brainwash you.
So you think it's the best because of how they do it?
It has to be done because like if I told you to, like just handed you a gun today
mm-hmm.
and said you're going to Afghanistan and you're going to stay alive, with nobody like really showing you the ropes, is it going to work?
No.
Right. So there's people that are smaller than you that are the craziest, mightiest warriors because they get like they have heart, but because of the brainwashing, it's like you're in a world inside of a world. So you go into boot camp and you have no understanding of what the outside world's even doing anymore. So like you don't get to see TVs, you don't get to see anything. Like
solely training.
They go back to like you can write letters and you hope for a letter to come to you because you're just in the craziest scenario, mm-hmm. right? And it's like the world just goes backwards for a minute and you're just stuck with these people yelling at you, trying to turn you into a warrior. But in order for that to happen, they break you first. And so like you think you have limits in your mind. Like, I can't do this. They will force you to do it. And they will force you by yelling at you, screaming at you, pushing you, trying to like pull everything out of you, out of anger almost, mm-hmm. to get to that breaking point and still go over it.
I think it's crazy that people sign up for that.
Yeah, so that's one of the stigmas that I kind of battle. Like, so I have a lot of respect for people that joined after September 11th.
Mm-hmm. Like,
I have a lot of respect for those people. Because when they went to war, it was insane. It was kicking a door, spray and pray, and hope that like you stay alive. And there was no other war like it. Nobody was prepared for that kind of war. And when I joined I joined September 11th, 2008. And
that's when you joined?
Yeah.
Oh.
So like 7 years later.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I was in high school when that happened. I joined at 22.
I was 5 years old. Isn't that crazy?
Oh, that's awesome. Fuck me, I'm old. So, so when I joined out of desperation that like I was playing college baseball and I knew that I wasn't going to be able to keep going to college because of it. And somebody asked me while I was high if I would join the Marine Corps, and I was like, sure, move all my stuff home. And everybody was like, oh my God, it's so amazing that you're joining and like during a time of war. And I was like, I just don't want to be homeless.
Yeah.
Like, there's no pride here. It's the last ditch effort I got in life.
So it wasn't even like I want to fight for my country. It was like kind of a selfish reason.
Yeah. Like that's all it was. And so like when people are like, when I was just following orders. If they gave me the option to not go when I first joined, I would have been like, yeah, put me at that job. Like, I'm good. Mm-hmm. And like, I actually had a lot of shame in that, like for a long time. But then when I did have the option not to go because I got injured, I still elected to go.
So it's almost like your like internal redemption. Like I'm doing this for that reason.
Well,
like
I still had ulterior motives in too.
What was it?
That I needed to prove something of myself. Like that needed.
Why did you feel like you needed to prove something of yourself?
Because I felt like I was like letting the Marine Corps down by being injured. Like, so they train you that you're supposed to be the most badass motherfucker alive. Mm-hmm. Right? Like in every way. Then like you get broken, they shun you. So if something happens where like, not the ones that get like hurt in Afghanistan and like all of that and like lose a limb. But if you don't have a limb missing, it's almost like you're not worthy of being injured.
Oh.
See where it's like weird? Mm-hmm. So like I had like surgeries on my foot, but because I could walk, they were like, oh yeah, so then you can do everything else. You can do the 15-mile run. You can, with like 100 pounds, like you can do all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, if I take painkillers.
Yeah.
Like, sure. And then I wouldn't be able to walk for like 2 days. And like, I never knew like physical therapy wasn't a real thing. Like it was like, you're wasting time going. And so it was just getting stuck inside that mindset really messed with me. I mean, I was designed that way my whole childhood though. Like pain is different for me. Like I had a broken foot for 2 years and I didn't know. When I was growing up, like if I said I was injured, it's so funny because it's what the Marine Corps says. But when I was a kid, I like broke my arm and my mom's like, take some ibuprofen and like suck it up. And like unless it was like visibly broken, it didn't matter.
Kind of just having to put up with the pain.
And so there's a saying in the Marine Corps, drink some water, like change your socks, and take some ibuprofen. Like for every
Change your socks?
Yeah. Well, and that one's actually true. Like, so changing your socks, you don't know, like, because you'll go weeks without showering. Oh. And like when you change to a fresh pair of socks, your like soul feels it. You're like you get energy out of nowhere, like because you just have like these sweaty like, and all of a sudden you'll just gain energy, and you're like, wait, what? That works?
Yeah.
Like try changing your socks as soon as you get home. Find out what happens. Like,
okay, I'll let you know.
No, it's weird. It's the weirdest thing that I've ever encountered, but like it actually worked. When we first started talking about it, it was the that guy was kind of going off about what he thought an alpha male was, right?
Yes.
Like, and that was entertaining
because I perceived an alpha male as like
dominant
asshole. Like you are doing anything to assert your dominance. Like, just let me try and give an example.
So the loudest
Like,
guy...
I almost see that as like a wife beater. Like, I swear.
I think that's where he was going with it too. You know, like, I think that's where he's going with it. Mm-hmm. And that's his own personal perception. And like, that's why this whole like stigma really matters to like break down, that we can just have a conversation about anything, is that to that guy, that's real. Right. Mm-hmm. But then after I explained, like, no, the alpha male is the person that's supposed to understand everybody he's in charge of and help them achieve their highest like goals. Yeah. That's what an alpha male is. Mm-hmm. An alpha male is somebody that like, it might kill me to try and figure you out. Like, it might put me in danger to try and figure you out. But I'm still going to do it. And then I'm going to put my own life on the line to try and get there, just so that I can make sure that you can get to your highest point.
I agree with that view on alpha male. It's better than like, I feel like we just kind of
but it's lost on the world. Don't like, it's lost on the world that that's what it's supposed to be.
It's lost.
Like, you still need to have that monster inside you. Like, you still need to be able to have it. Mm-hmm. Like, Jordan Peterson talks about it all the time, that like, the world doesn't want us to not be aggressive.
Dude, that's what I'm literally working on in therapy. I'm working on anger. Because I have all this built up anger. Like, I have murderous rage inside of me that I've just been keeping locked in. And now I'm just trying to work on like acknowledging I'm angry at somebody, because I see it as like bad.
So for 2-3 years inside of recovery, like, that's what I battled with the most, is because the Marine Corps told me that like, it doesn't matter what you're feeling, keep going. Mm-hmm. That's my whole childhood. That's all I ever heard. And I didn't know that I was raised, like, my mom was raised by my grandpa, who was like a Vietnam veteran Marine, like insane. And I didn't even know that until I graduated boot camp. Mm-hmm. And like, but it goes back to the same, that we don't know as a society how to even talk about our feelings. I don't know what caused you to do it, but mine was that like, that wasn't, like, we don't share with the outside world how, like, what's going on in our home.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. Right?
And so then I didn't know I was really poor. I knew there was something wrong with like what was going on, mm-hmm. but I didn't know I was poor. I didn't know that I had anger. So all my life I thought I was amazing with people, but I was a performer. But I had this rage, and I had an outlet for sports. But I thought I was amazing at sports, which I was good. I was really good. But I had like these anger streaks where like I would crush heads in football. Like, a coach would make fun of me or like talk shit to me, and I would just crush somebody, like their entire soul. Like,
Are they okay?
I broke a guy's neck one time. Like, I mean, like, it was bad. Like, I had this anger inside me where every time, if you beat me at something, I would work for the next month trying to be better than you at everything you are. Mm-hmm. Like, with this hatred inside to do so.
A part of me thinks like that's a healthy way to deal with anger. How else would you have like had an outlet?
No, but take those outlets away. You graduate high school, you graduate, like, yeah. Where are you going to put that now?
Where'd you put it?
I joined the Marine Corps. I was designed perfectly for the Marine Corps, mm-hmm. because they unleashed, so I became a monster. Like, and then that's what made it so that when I got on the streets, I became a monster that way too. Like, I was comfortable. I was in the darkest parts of being homeless with like all these people around me that were just screwing other people over, like pulling guns on other people. And like, there was nothing about me that was like I was able to be the monster. So I felt free. Mm-hmm. Right. But when I got sober, I thought that I was amazing with people. And what I realized is that I have no idea how to talk about my emotions. Like, have you ever seen the feelings wheel?
No.
So
I'll look it up.
So the feelings wheel is like, in the middle, there's like 6 feelings. But then from those 6 feelings.
Wheel, dude, I hate this wheel.
That's what I said. Like, wait, what? Like, I have to go down this like rabbit hole?
Is it it's 7: happy, surprised, bad, fearful, angry, disgusted, sad?
Right.
Okay.
And then look at what's outside of it though. Now we got like what, 30?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you're supposed to identify those.
Dude, I don't know how to identify.
Right. And like that's where I was at. Like, so I have this monster inside me. I have that I'm nothing in the world. Like I'm homeless. I have 11 felonies. And like they're telling me that like you gotta feel your feelings and you gotta describe them. And what happened is I've never really been violent uncontrollably. I always thought that I was like really in control because I was poised, you know. Mm-hmm. When I didn't have any outlets, like I became a monster, like on accident.
How
like
so?
It was just overspilling because they opened up this dam of like being able to talk, mm-hmm. and I had not been able Jordana always talks about how like why I have all the tattoos.
Yeah.
And somebody asked her one time like, why do you think he's got them? And she said it in such a clear way that I had never really thought about it before, but it's like an angel wing on my hand. It's mm-hmm. like Saint Michael on my forearm, right? Like it's all this stuff that like when I was in my darkest point, I was getting like these angels, right, tattooed on me. And she told the guy, I think it was the only way he could express what he wanted to be in that moment, even though he was going through his darkest time.
That's beautiful.
And I was like, shit, how do you know that? Like, what? And but that's my truth, that I wanted to be good. I had all the upbringing and all the tools to actually be amazing.
You wanted to, but you didn't know how to.
Because I didn't know how to communicate that there was something wrong with me. Mm-hmm. Right?
I didn't know how to communicate either.
Like, and that's why, like, I was okay. Like, in high school, I couldn't communicate properly with, like, I was the most popular kid that did not fit in.
How so?
Like, I played 4 sports a year. I was a captain of them all. Mm-hmm. I had a ton of friends that I grew up with. Everybody knew me. I'm like the most introvert extrovert that you'll ever meet.
I don't understand. How can you be both?
Because so it actually takes everything out of me to perform outside of what I really feel. So I really want to lay down and have nobody walk up to me or talk to me. Mm-hmm. At all times of the day. You talking to me makes me want to kick you in the chest. Just get the fuck away.
I know how you feel.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But all my life, because I was popular, because I was in all these sports, mm-hmm. like, I never wanted to go do anything. And so, like, they kind of, like, sensed it. So, like, they didn't pull me into their crowd, but I was always around.
Yeah.
Right? Like, nobody talked with me about personal shit. It was just like, hey, man, good game.
So very small talk, surface level with everybody.
So I would actually go into the special ed room and play Uno with the mentally disabled kids. Huh. Because their happiness and joy at all the little things made me feel a peace in the world.
Is that what you wanted?
Yep. I wanted people just to stop playing games. Like, I read that at like 16. I watched my parents be in the town where I grew up, and like they would come home and they would shut the door and they would just talk shit about people. And I was like, what? Like, I don't want to be around this. Same thing with all the kids in school talking behind each other's backs. Like, it's
just like anything that was around you just didn't want to be a part of. So you never felt a part of the world.
Because like I learned from like my childhood and that I actually learned how to read rooms at a very early age. Mm-hmm. So like the same thing that makes me skilled with dealing with people new in recovery and stuff like that is that I can read things. I can read the energy. I can read like body language and stuff like that. And I didn't know I could do that at an early age. I used it at an early age to perform. What did you need me to be today? Right?
Yeah.
And like,
where do you think that came from? Why did you want to basically like people please a little bit? Like, what do you need me to do? I'm not going to do what I want me to do.
Because I never felt loved the way that a kid should.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't say that people didn't try, but it just wasn't being received by my adolescent mind that that's what that's love. So like I thought if I performed for all these people in the way that they wanted, that they would love me. And I got love from a lot of other people's parents. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't understand what unconditional love is. They still support me today. They still call me their son. It's really cool. But I was missing, like, from my home, that sense of love. And I don't blame my parents. I've learned how to understand where they're coming from because nobody gives anybody a book.
Yeah. Nobody
gets a book. I mean, there are books. But, like, it's kind of like...
How to Parent 101.
Right. Like, and it's kind of like there's a book to get sober, right? But go ahead and go... Because I gave you that book, you're gonna make it through and you're gonna create an amazing child or stay sober, right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, no, you have to be taught. You have to be shown. And so like I pretty much equate like where I'm at is that like I'm just drop down trauma, right?
I agree.
Like and it's not that like she might not have had trauma or my dad might not have had trauma like in ways that like trauma that's a crazy word, dude.
Dude, I when I came out here to California, I denied every single day. They were like, "Oh yeah, you have PTSD." PTSD, trauma, me? No. I don't have trauma. I've never experienced trauma. Like we kind of I grew up dismissing like that was trauma. I didn't know how to like acknowledge it. Like, hey, that's what trauma looks like and the effect it had on me. Never looked at it, never did until like recently. So only as of a few months ago.
So my mind got blown because I've been in recovery for over 8 years now, and like it was at year like 6. So I thought I had PTSD. Like I came to terms with PTSD in the Marine Corps at like year 3, right? Like that, and it's not from like what people think. People think that I have PTSD from like things blowing up. Like I'm kind of like a sociopath when it comes to that. Like it doesn't bother me. It came more from the abandonment once I got injured. That's what sparked the PTSD. Once I got injured in Afghanistan and I got medevaced back, I became addicted to painkillers, right? So of course I'm like going down a rabbit hole. Nobody came to save me. Those brothers were instructed to let me drown. And some of them like tried to help, but like they had to help in secret because they didn't want to get in trouble.
Dude, it's kind of heartless.
Right, but like I mean, I've had to learn how to forgive that part too because nobody knew in like 2012 about the opioid epidemic. It was just becoming like aware. Like so I was in the throes. Like I wonder how they're viewing it now. Yeah. Like that's one of the things, but the Marine Corps has like a 0 drug tolerance policy, and like they're very adamant about it. But since I had like 11 surgeries, I had like the script so that I wouldn't get in trouble. But that didn't stop me from becoming a full-blown addict inside the Marine Corps, and you stick out like a sore thumb. Like I still did all the runs, I still did everything to be a Marine. Yeah. But I was still fucking crazy. Like,
what'd that look like?
like, I'm saying, like, everybody's standing at attention like this, and I'm like, what the fuck are we doing here? Like, I need to get fucked up, you know? Like,
Yeah.
and like, so it sticks out like a sore thumb because everybody else is robots, and you're sitting here like
in your own world.
Yeah. And like, as much as I thought I was holding it together, they noticed.
Yeah.
So that sparked the PTSD because like I was giving my soul to the Marine Corps. Like I was ready to like lose my leg for it. Mm-hmm. Like at some point it switched, not being about like serving my country, but being there for the people that family.
Yeah. It became your family.
And like, I bled into that oath, like, I'll die for you. Right. And like, then when they didn't come and save me, like, and they instead like shunned me, it broke me. So when I was sober for like 5 years, so I'll set the stage that I had 11 felonies. I was homeless. I had no family supporting me. And so I had 6 years hanging over my head where I did a program. It was supposed to be for 5 years, but I did it for 3.5. And if I farted wrong and somebody was offended, I would do that 6 years. And like, it's the kind of place where they'd be like, you don't want to fucking be sober. Like, get out of here. Mm-hmm. And like, so I'm like, wait, but I do. Like, yeah, like, but I'm trying. And
very strict recovery.
And so it was, and it's behavior modification where like I have to understand that if I make this right decision, our left decision, one of them can lead me back to 6 years. Jails, institution, or death. Yeah. Right. And so I had to talk constantly to people about what to do in all situations because I realized that I was designed from the Marine Corps, from my childhood, from everything to fuck it up. So I was like, okay, I got to rely on all these people. But so about 5-6 years sober, I had a conversation with one of my mentors and we broke it down that I was having like a mini panic attack at so if me and you were going to a restaurant and we had it planned that we were going to, you know, across the street from my house to get tacos, right? Yeah. And at the last minute you asked me like, hey, let's go to the beach. It's a nice day. Let's go. My brain will process that it's fine. I'm nowhere near, like, my life is beautiful. I'm nowhere near that person I came in here as. But my brain processes it's a right or left situation. It's not a part of the plan. You're going to die. You're going to fuck this up. So the greatest PTSD that I've ever had isn't my parents, isn't the Marine Corps. It's actually what it took to get sober. Because where was I stuck the entire time that I was panicking that I was going to fuck this up? I was stuck in my head.
For sure.
Right? And nobody can save me from that. I had to sit with me, worried, freaking out all the time. And so while me and you are nowhere close to being in that situation, my life is beautiful. I'm not going to jail tomorrow. Yeah. Like, there's nothing wrong.
It feels like life or death over something like that.
And so then think about how it was being my friend that entire time. Because I'm in that struggle and I'm like, no, we can't do that. No. And everybody's like, oh, Justin's so militant. No, I'm just scared that I'm going to die and I can't even voice it. Like, do you see it?
Yeah.
Like, that it's so crazy. So